When talking to academic clinicians, the biggest challenge is finding time to do their research or finding time to write. Tell me, can you relate to this? People in academia typically write at night, only after they have done all of their clinical work and after putting their kids to bed. Or you could wait till the weekend. And by then, your brain is fried. So no wonder you can't write fast, no wonder you do not have any motivation to do any of your research project. Hi, this is Dr. Jia. Today, I'm going to talk about ways to create more time so that you can work on your research projects. Number one, write during work hours. If you are expected to publish papers or do any scholarly work for your position, you are technically paid to do that work. That means you should do that work during work hours. And that's because during that time, your mind is still fresh and you can get more work done in less time. Number two, treat writing appointments like a clinic appointment. So what does that mean? Your writing time needs to be on the calendar. And if you can't make it, you must not cancel, you can only reschedule it. So think about your regular clinic patients. You don't just cancel on them, you have to reschedule them. Now, when I give this advice, I get a lot of pushback. Usually I hear things like, oh no, I can't do that. Patients come first, my patients need me. And that brings me to point number three, patients come first. As academic clinicians, we go into medicine to make an impact to help our patients. So sitting down to write or sitting down to do a research project does not seem as important. So let's challenge that thought a little bit. When you publish your research, you are putting your future patients first. In fact, you are helping more patients that way. Even when you're doing research that's not directly impacting patients, for example, medical education research, trace it all the way back. When you improve medical education, you are improving the quality of medical doctors. And better doctors means better patient outcomes. Then you are impacting patients' lives, but you have to trace it all the way through. So now when you go to your scheduled research or writing session, just remember you are putting your patients first. In fact, you're putting more emphasis on your future patients. I know conducting a research project is an overwhelming process, so I made the idea to paper blueprint for you. This blueprint takes you through a 7-step process from idea generation to paper submission. So be sure to get a copy by clicking a link below. Number four, remove distractions. So when you hear this advice, you'll say, yeah, I've heard of it before. The question is, do you actually do it? So observe how many times you are distracted by your phone or email notification. Then engineer your environment and surroundings so that you are not distracted. For example, put a do not disturb mode on your phone so that no vibration comes in, no text messages comes in. If that's still not good enough, put your phone into the drawer across the room so that you are not reflectively taking your phone out. Next, hide your Outlook. Don't put it on the taskbar. Another tip is put a timer, those kitchen timers, so that you're not relying on the phone. Whatever it is, do what it takes to remove the distraction. It will take time to get used to it, but it is so worth it. Number five, compress time. Give yourself less time to complete the task, especially for painful administrative tasks. So instead of, I'm gonna take 2 hours to do this CT training or IRB training, just say, no, I'm gonna finish this in 1 hour. When you give yourself more time, you will actually use more time. And I used to do 1 hour meetings and I cut it down to 20 or 30 minutes. Or I say finish notes in 2 minutes or call 10 patients in 10 minutes. And surprisingly, we can actually complete all the important points in a shorter amount of time. So basically create micro time pressures or deadline to get your work done faster. Number six, system improvements. We do inefficient things all the time, but forget to assess if there are better ways to do things. If you can, do an audit once a week to assess your workflow and ask, does it have to be this way, or what can I do to improve this? One very interesting way is to assess time wasters. In lean project management, there is a framework to assess waste called TIMWOODS. So T for transport. Think about transporting things or transporting data. How are you moving your data? Are you wasting a lot of time in between? Next, inventory. People think about supplies, but inventory can also be unfinished tasks or incompleted projects. all the open projects that you haven't done is going to weigh on you. Next one, M for movement. Think about windshield time, driving back and forth between clinics. How are you walking between your office to your patient, to all the different movements around? How are you wasting time between all those movements? Next, W for waiting. Think about all the wasted time you use to wait for data, waiting for feedback, waiting for edits. Write that down. Next, O, over-engineer. Doing more than what is needed to complete the task. Think about all your perfectionism. Do I have to format it in this way? If it's more than good enough, stop it. Next O, overproduction. In the production line, that means you're creating too many small products that are not really useful. In research, think about producing too many small little tiny research projects that are kind of meh, that do not make any impact. Think about this. Doing tiny projects that will not lead to an eventual publication is a complete waste of time. Next, D for defects. Think about mistakes such as wrong formatting, wrong references, wrong figures, wrong tables that makes the journal reject a paper or make you change. All these things waste a lot of time. Next, S for skills. Not using the skills of others effectively or delegating too soon without proper training. So once you determine the wastage, you can think about ways to improve your workflow. For example, could there be a template or a standard operating procedure? Perhaps delegating certain tasks like clinic secretary. Maybe they could call the patient to schedule blood work before coming in. Another one is maybe your research assistant could work on the research regulatory paperwork. If you can't delegate that, maybe you need a template or a better workflow. Number 7, create time for collaborations. Spend 30 minutes a week to build collaborations. Why is that so important? That's because collaboration is the biggest lever. When you are in a good collaborative group, you have essentially multiplied your time. Not just through the division of labor, but by buying back time through expertise. People who are experts see and do things a lot faster. So you don't have to make the same mistakes as others because they have gone through them. If you see the most productive researchers, they are typically in several collaborative groups. And that's because when you are in a large group, you are not carrying the whole project all by yourself. And maybe somebody is planning a project, another is doing the analysis. And think about the writing, referencing, literature review, manuscript submission. These are all divided by all different people. Importantly, don't wait for these groups to find you. You actually have to actively look for them. Go for society websites to look for initiatives and research collaboratives. Another trick I use actually is when I see a research paper that goes written under this group, I will see if they have an email or a website to see if I can join their group. And when you do, send an email saying that you are interested in joining their group, share your previous work that is related to their mission or to their goal. Finally, when you are in those work groups, be responsive and contribute. Don't wait for people to assign tasks to you. Volunteer to do something about. Say, hey, I can do this part, I can do that part. These are the 7 tips for you to create more time. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And for more productivity tips, click here to watch the playlist. I'll see you in the next video.